Hi all, Kyber1 here with the World Builders Journal, Episode 6, questions 26 through 30. Question number 26. You stand at the edge of a dark wood that is rumored to be haunted and rustling with creatures unseen. How do you feel? What memories do these woods draw out? This is a kind of in play activity that I would go around the table asking players. But if the rumors are the forest is haunted and rustling with creatures unseen, introduce that concept to them actively, and then as they get to the edge of the woods, describe this. You approach the woods that are rumored to be haunted and rustling with creatures. How do you feel? And what memories does this draw out for you? And then, just go around the table. I didn't do the best thing because I'm not looking at anybody right now. Thanks, COVID. All right. Question number 27. What dark secret is a town in your campaign hiding? Do the locals kidnap visitors to sacrifice to their evil god? Are they under the control of a nefarious wizard that lives at the town's border? Create 5 clues that your players must uncover in order to reveal the secret. So, do the locals kidnap visitors to sacrifice to their evil god? That reminds me of Cult of the Reptile God. Definitely do your research before coming up with a specific thing on this. Because you don't want to directly pull a plot line from a prior published adventure. Change up the villain. Definitely have a plan in place for this, though. And, look at some older content, so you know what not to do. And it's especially where something could fall apart, like in Cult of the Reptile God. You don't want a player that got kidnapped as a character, and then they're not useful until the very end scene. Does that make sense? Like, they just have to sit there quietly? Alright, so question number 28. Your mentor gave you a small token to remember the most important lesson they taught you. What is this trinket, and what is the story behind it? So in D&D 5e, there's the trinket mechanic in the game. So I would ask, during an episode 0, session 0, if you will, where did they get the trinket and what's the story behind it? And I would ask that the characters come up with at least a simple story about why it matters to them. That's a good prompt. Okay. Question 29. Create an NPC who cannot speak but instead communicates in an unusual way, such as through hand signals, emitting strange smells, or changing their eye color. Write a profile of this character and how your players might interact with them. Okay, so how your players might interact with them. I think that's their method of communication. Well, how are you going to make it obvious that this is the way they communicate? I think this might be effective for a golem or something of that nature. And I think it would be better if they were important to the plot, because if they weren't, it would be extremely annoying for some players to waste a bunch of time trying to communicate with an individual that is not central and can be frustrating to deal with from a player perspective. Okay, question 30. You sit down for a reading from a traveling fortune teller, but after consulting his cards, he insists that you leave immediately. What dark secret of yours would have frightened him so? Okay, so there's a good method of doing this, and the Ravenloft adventures, I-10 and I-6, and as well as the most recent one in the Terracotta deck or whatever. Did I say that right? I don't own the Ravenloft cards, the Ravenloft fortune telling cards. So basically, do an actual session, and then interpret it in the worst way possible. And then that way the you can form further adventures on this, especially. And honestly, House on Griffin Hill, it has a fortune telling mechanic based on things you see in your dream, and that might be worth looking into for that, because you're under hypnosis. It's not a very good adventure on its own because of some issues, and the original authors of Ravenloft were not in on it fully. But it's an interesting trapping of why characters might be viewed differently. Say the fortune teller kicks him out of his traveling caravan and he travels to the next town, and he's all like, wow, look out for those guys. All right, so Kybermon out.